I prize every moment, every sacrifice. In Anabasios, I am the truth, the divine. By my guiding hand, perfected we stand. I won't be denied. You are mine, you are blind, a fool till the end, cast down forevermore. I create, manipulate. You're kind in my image, my chosen ones. For you the time has come, the sun is setting. Say goodnight. We've reached my dust, your sanity dies. Sucking the life out, letting the dark inside. Say a prayer as the light meets your eyes. So scream all you like, till God's can't hear you. Say at night to the weakness that you hide behind. Believing the lies, feeling the fear inside. Never once were you truly alive. So scream all you like, no one can. Say goodnight. Say goodnight. Say goodnight. Stay please. Savage nobles, touch your face. Say goodnight. Give me lies, follow me. Say goodnight. Say the lions, follow me. Say goodnight. Follow me. Say goodnight.
Child, bastard, and beast, oh Lord, stand first to the feast. Come claim if you're able a spot at this table, mild and meek, down on your knees. For hide and seek, it's time that we feed. Your heart is racing, blood is running cold. Your fractured will is whispering. Far away, hear me lions. Say goodnight. With each part does your sanity die. Sucking the life out, letting the dark inside. Say a prayer as the light leaves your eyes. Or scream all you like, your lightning can't hear you. Scream now, scream. Your lightning can't hear you. Scream now, scream now, scream, scream. To suicide, don't choke on your pride. Scream now, scream. Yeah, I'm gonna watch you bleed. Lance and flee. How does it feel? You're bound as blade. Those scars will not heal, no. Lost in suffering, drowning in your tears. Want someone somewhere, tell me. Go from here, the liar. Say goodnight. With your spite does your sanity die. Sucking the life out, letting the dark inside. Say a prayer as the light leaves your eyes. Or scream all you like, your lightning can't hear. Scream now, scream. Your rose can't hear you. Dressed in rage inside my cage. Almighty, put him else soon. Still bound to the flame that I bear. Buried alive in the coffin of the hope I used to be. I'll scream all I like, 'cause we're all men here. Forever falling into my mind. Deeper, the shadow of hope I left far behind. Just a stranger, we all strange inside. You can run, but there's nowhere to hide. So scream all you like, no one can hear us. Follow me, come follow me. Till my deep put him else soon. Still bound to the flame that I've been. No release. Fuck this empty waking wild.
Spring's promise of sun is on it, when winter's way down on us. Visions in white, raw fury in flight, clear as diamond yet fragile as ice. My heart is racing. Turn the light on and let everyone, won't you? Turn the light on, turn the light on. The pain won't enter you. Turn the light on. The soul longs for oblivion. Falling too far for the fear to embrace me. A voice from the past screaming, there is no end. A slave to my fate, ever doomed to repeat this again and again and again and again and again. Falling too fast, but the fall will not break me. A voice from the past that goes loud like a drum. No more goodbyes, I am tired of waiting. Now open my eyes, when I'm tired of waiting. Now open my eyes. Here I come. Staring at death, I take a breath. There's nothing left. Now close my eyes for one last time and say goodbye. Lying naked while the snow falls all around me. Drifting closer to the edge, but she won't have me. Wake up and sweat, full of regret. Try to forget these memories lurking beneath, lost in a dream. Unchosen paths, a broken past, forspoken wrath. The pain won't cease. I'll find no peace, no sweet release. Fragile creatures, we are taught to fear the reaper, ever running. We are dead before we meet her. These voices telling me let it go. I try and try, but I can't say no. This endless nightmare has just begun. My heart is dragging me down into oblivion. The endless lies I've cast aside, locked them in ice. Steel is my soul, my blood grown cold.
Ein brings shadow, one brings light. Two-toned echoes tumbling through time. Three stories fit and cast aside. For knowing no end in sight. One brings shadow, one brings light. Two-toned echoes tumbling through time. Three stories fit and cast aside. For knowing no end in sight. All our splendor, big blanket silence. Our surrender, a song reverie. Slowly drifting down into twilight. Left to sifting through fading memories. Know our places for what is wordless. Evanescent, this writing on the wall. Brothers, stay this descent to madness. Come and save us, catch us before we fall. Riding home, riding home, finding home. Don't lose hope. Like broken angels, wingless, cast from heaven's gates. We only fly when falling, falling far from grace. Our lives a message in a bottle cast to sea. Quick to their ends, our candles burn until we're free. In the rain, to line and darkness fade. Yes, time circles endlessly. All these chains drawn to the flame, to rise from the ashes to begin. We first must see the end. One brings shadow, one brings light. Two-tone echoes stumbling through time. We score wasted, ten cast aside. For no end inside. One brings shadow, one brings light. Two-tone echoes tumbling through time. We score wasted, ten cast aside. For knowing no end inside. Rock of ages, we cast the first stone. In our cages, we know now what we need from there. Deep inside, we're nothing more than science and sinners. In the rain, to light and darkness fade. Yes, time circles endlessly. The hands of fate train ahead, right to the edge. All things change, drawn to the flame, to rise from the ashes. To begin, we first must see the end. Unto the end. All things change, drawn to the flame, to rise from the ashes. To begin, we first must see the end.
Whispers falling silently drift on the wind, but I hear you. Our journey now, a memory fading from sight, but I see you. Unbroken promises we made so long ago. Your spoken record for a river of tears. flowing, winding toward eternal sea, and yet our hope remains, guiding, lighting the way. No time for mourning, rises on the land reborn from the ashes. 'Neath the heavens to sunset, blood red skies, tranquil laughter, restore. Blessed shadow turning, wending, always night follows day. The sun will shine again. Walk on, never look back. Through you we live. Tales of loss and fire and faith. Every word on the hearts engraved. In the dark you will not stay. Forge ahead till the end we pray. Tales of loss and fire and faith. Every word on the hearts engraved. In the dark you will not stay. Forge ahead till the end we pray. Every step we take, echoes in our wake, winding round our fate to forge ahead. Should we lose our way, tire all this pain, we won't be afraid to forge ahead. Fearless hearts ablaze, no more time to waste. No, it's not too late, though a fleeting moment has gone. To forge ahead. As we ride again, as you turn your eyes to the stars, another end. Where it all begins, my chorus guiding you. Forge ahead. Tales of loss and fire and faith. Every word on our hearts engraved. In the dark you will not stray. Forge ahead till the end we pray. Tales of loss and fire and faith. Every word on our hearts engraved. In the dark you will not stray. Forge ahead till the end we pray. Drifting tender, comrade, heroes ride. Her gallant severed away with the tide. The storm head gathers, comrade, heroes ride. Illusions scattered away with the tide. Why do weathered warriors wander their way where the wanting wonders wait? Hark the herald's anchors away. Here the happens mine escape. Freedom forgone, sinking abyss, comets crumble, Phoebus fades under cosmic clamor decay. Hides a path untaken. Ancient echoes come right, heroes ride. In deafening silence, away with tide. A wave of hazard, come right, heroes ride. All in and windward, away with the tide. Stellar stories, starward be strewn, slipping sidewise, see their snakes. Twixt the leaves you'll find not a miss. Missing gods and crossing fates, feet to the cosmic lions accord along the path not taken. Try till the dead tread on the road that is borrowed design. Through the sum of the suns do they seek tomorrow. Tonight, witness them as the end shall begin. What was fine will be light. Falling back, further back, ever back to burn, to come home. Come ride, heroes ride, ride with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, to my final escape. Come ride, heroes ride, ride with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, to my final escape.
Warning us omnida tua te la omnida tua onoramu te me os no la tua matera so without a name, heed my call. Sin to stain the hearts of us all. The worm hath burrowed deep and hath gone. Soon he too shall reap what is sown. Step into the storm, know its mercy. Let the wind and the rain crash down over thee. Lightning ride, thunderbolt, guiding us evermore. Soul fallen from grace where we will. Judgment thou must face.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is episode 118 of LoreLines. How is everyone doing today? I don't think any of you are coming through. Give me just a sec. It's not. It's not LoreLines if it doesn't have scuff. All right. All of that
No,
again.
you can't hear me. This is intentional.
All right. Mute lines, scuff lines. I love it. We're on brand. All right, so let's try that again. How is everybody?
Good morning.
We're here.
Doing all right.
We're just on brand with our technical difficulties as ever.
True that. True that. So today we are going to be joined by Croatoan. He is running a little bit late, but he will be here. So in the meantime, I want to talk about playing Final Fantasy XI, but I won't.
Why
But
not?
why?
It's the free login weekend. It's the free login weekend, so I hopped back on and I was like, oh, okay. I killed one thing and I'm like level 65 now.
Neela, what happened to your avatar?
I didn't do anything to it.
Oh yeah, you're
Question
missing.
Mark.
He's gone.
Why are you missing?
I not really here, y'all. No, look, that just
Not
seems on
really
brand for how
here
tired
in-
I am.
physically and mentally.
You have
True.
become Hades the Unseen.
Oh boy,
And you're off
I
center.
like to
Jeez.
watch, nothing more. Oh dear.
There you are. Okay.
Hey,
How far have you gotten in the story of 11, Cobb?
I don't think I'm very far because not a lot's happened. I have killed the Shadow Lord. And I'm
So you finished the base game.
yeah, so I'm not quite sure what to do next. So I've just kind of been wandering around leveling up, and I've been poking at Rhapsodies, just kind of following that because it's easy to follow.
So I'm going to recommend that you stop doing that.
Okay.
Because Rhapsodies is kind of a catch-all for people who just want to get to endgame.
Okay.
Because it counts as story completion. It's not going to overwrite actually doing any of the expansions, but you will be introduced to characters, and they'll be like, oh yeah, and this person did X thing. Do you remember that? And you're like, that's a critical spoiler for this expansion. Why are they just offhandedly speaking it?
I remember none of that.
Okay. So Final Fantasy XI's very unique in the sense that each expansion just adds stories to the game, and it's up to you to pursue them. So it's fully possible to play all of the expansions out of order
Oh,
because
yeah.
all of them, like, they're just added stories, right?
Yeah. I walked
Um,
into Juno and everyone saw Crystal and I was like, this is not the base game.
Yeah, no, that is way later. The one that you need to pick up first is Rise of the Zealot.
Yes.
Which, yes, you should be able to pick up from Juno.
Which I believe I have some areas unlocked for Rise of the Zealot. Because it's the only
Yeah.
other place I can teleport to. It says Rise of Zealot areas. And I'm like, okay,
Right,
cool.
okay, so you have your stuff set up by expansion. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of zones get locked to certain parts of the story. Like, you physically won't be granted access until, like, certain politicians will give you access to it.
Oh, fun.
So what you want to look up is the quest guide for Rise of the Zealot, which will
Okay.
tell you a little bit more what you need to do, because 11 is set up kind of like a From Software game where you need to pay attention and figure out where you're going, and this involves clicking on absolutely nondescript things.
Yeah.
randomly
Isn't that
in the
14 as
overworld.
well? In a
No,
way?
no,
Well,
no,
see,
no.
Here's the
At
thing.
least it has a quest log.
Yeah,
Here's
there's
Quest
no
log.
quest log in 11. You just gotta remember what people said
Which-
and hope you're going the right way.
Yeah, which is
And the-
fine unless you decide to, like me, take months off from the game. I have no idea what was happening.
And the game is also has changed so much with the expansion storylines not changing. So a lot of the stuff that's like, oh yeah, you need to go find this specific tree in this region. It's not a tree anymore. It's a blank spot on the ground, and it doesn't even sparkle. It's just you have to know that you have to go there.
Oh, God.
Oh dear.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying look up a quest guide, don't read ahead, just follow the instructions whenever it's like, yeah, and then you have to do this absolutely absurd thing like wait for the full moon and click on a lake at this specific time.
What the
Stuff
fuck?
like that. Yeah, no, like this was legitimately a thing. We got story locked because we needed to wait for a full moon, which was a few days away, before we could pick up a certain item. In order
Like
to complete the
in-game
quest.
days or actual
Yes.
days?
In-game days, but in-game days are so long that it might as well be a real day. No,
Oh
we
my
had to wait 2 real game days because we had to wait like a few weeks in-game for
Oh
a
my
full moon
God.
because it has an actual moon cycle. So
Right.
it was like, oh, we're lucky we only have to wait 2 days. So yes, go look at a quest guide for Rise of the Zealot, and when you finish with that, I can get you set on Shades of Promathia.
Okay. That sounds
A lot.
okay. Turn of the century MMO design.
Yep. And I do recommend that you keep leveling if you're going through this by yourself, even
Mhm.
with trust companions, because being able to blast through some of these boss fights when you don't know what you're doing is going to be the only way that you can resolve them without actually doing the mechanics.
Yeah, I'm 65 right now, so
What's your sub job at?
30.
Okay. Make sure you level both of them.
So
in tandem.
I got all the way through Shadowlord without a sub job. So I was like,
Yeah, and that one's not that hard, but like later on, especially in Promathia, you are going to get absolutely blasted if you don't kill certain bosses in under a minute.
okay, good to know.
Here's your crash course
Indeed.
starting Final Fantasy XI.
So if
After the
anyone-
install, here's what you can expect.
So if anyone wants to pick up 11, there's your starting point.
And as Cub mentioned in passing, there's a free login if you've had an account before, right? If you've had playtime before, you can just log in for free. I don't know the rest of the details.
Yes, it works exactly like the free login campaign for Final Fantasy XIV. It came from 11. It functions.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So
Yep.
yeah, and I know that Ayumi, you were trying to
No.
get into it, but you tried to
Yeah.
solo the first boss and you couldn't get past the first boss.
I got past it, got in, and still wouldn't work. So I'm
Yeah,
like, nope,
you need a
not
full
doing it.
party to help you get past that.
Yes.
Not doing it.
However,
Not happening.
you can get trust companions. This
Well,
is
I-
something else.
I mean the
recommend looking
login.
up. Oh, the login. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't solo anything. Even if you're playing by yourself, you need to have trust companions. Again, that's where the system in 14 came from, where you
Mhm.
can basically summon any slew of NPCs. And the list is long. It's like several hundred every major NPC
Right.
in the game. One of the first ones that you get is for Valineral, which is not a character you meet until 4th expansion.
Okay, good. Because I have no idea who that
Wings
is.
of the Goddess. Yeah, you don't need to. He's not even an important character, but he's a paladin who is the best healer that you can get in trust, and he will one-shot most ads.
Amazing.
Yes, put him in your party.
Okay.
He is an actual party member.
Amazing.
He's like one of the first ones that you get. I highly recommend always having the Lineral out, because he will tank and he will heal.
Okay. So some of you might be wondering why we're talking about Final Fantasy XI. There is an 11 raid coming up in 14, but yeah, there's a lot of 11 things going on currently.
There's always been so many 11 things.
Yeah,
but
There's been a
this is more
ton.
explicit than before.
Yeah. It's not like
it's like 13. It's always been there, but now it's like, hey, I've been here all this time, and now you're only starting to realize.
I made this joke on Mock Talk, but in playing Dawntrail, you've essentially played 2 full Final Fantasy XI expansions at the exact same time.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, congrats, none of you have to install it now. And we'll probably be getting a 3rd with the Alliance raid, which I'm super stoked for at this point. That patch cannot come soon enough.
Right. Oh, I'm excited for that, and I'm really curious how they're going to blend that in, especially considering that they've already name dropped some places in 11.
Should we talk about that real quick? About
I think we
how
should.
there are some 11
Yes.
references,
Sure.
and not only
Agreed.
the last fight in the Interfrost, but sprinkled throughout
Yeah.
Dawntrail.
Well,
So-
it's more than
Yes.
Dawntrail, but yeah.
It's more than Dawntrail, but specifically in Dawntrail, they're name dropping things a little bit more. And the places that they're straight up name dropping are relevant to the Chains of Promathia expansion.
And which expansion
Very
is that? Because
specifically.
I don't even know.
That's the 3rd one. It's the sequel to Rise of the Zealard, and it's the end of the first complete arc, which
Okay.
would be base game with the Shadow Lord, Rise of the Zealard, and then Chains of Promathia.
Got it.
So given that we basically got plot of Rise of the Zealard in Dawntrail, Sven is 1-for-1 just a Eldenarsh, which is incredibly funny to me. That would be the political marriage of the century. I don't think that they're going to spend too much time on Rise of the Zealard in the Alliance raids, but they kind of have to touch on that story specifically because like the only art that we have so far is the Shadow Lord, who is a key component in the main story, being the final bad guy, but also the catalyst for Rise of the Zealard and leading into Chains of Promathia, because those stories are connected. I'm fully expecting the fact that they just name dropped the birthplace of Promathia in side quests. Like, yeah, this is a place that exists and we haven't been back there in a while. I wonder what's going on there. That fully feels like, oh, so this is just what we're getting in the Alliance raids. Which I would be stoked for, because Promathia, Chains of Promathia was genuinely when I was like, oh, this is the best Final Fantasy game. Just like straight up. Like, I'm so excited to get to experience it. So I'm really hoping we get that. It's also for an incredibly selfish reason, because Chains of Promathia is also where my favorite character is from. And he, despite being the most important Final Fantasy XI character, to the point where they keep bringing him back in later expansions as you like go back in time, or as a demon is pretending to be a political figure, they choose him to like body double as a thirst trap. I'm dead serious. This is a thing. Like, he does a whole Kabadon maneuver. The animations for cutscenes in 11 that popped off. Has never received any official art. He has never received any fan art in the 20-something years that this character has existed. I have paid for over half of the fan art to be created, because when I started playing, there was a single piece of art from 2006, and I have gone looking in like the forum archives. The only mention
Dang.
that he gets in any official material is his name in relation to Comlanot in the art book. He's not even mentioned in any of the anniversary promo material,
Wow.
which kills me
Wow.
again because he is so critical to this story. This man's name is Nagmalata, and I want him in 14 for the very selfish reason that if he plays such a major role in an alliance raid, they have to put him in an art book.
True.
That's it.
Yeah. Valid.
Other things that they've done is a lot of the settings in Dawntrail come straight out of Treasures of Adargon. So a lot of the story is Rise of the Zealer, right? But Treasures of Adargon was the one-off vacation expansion. That came
Interesting.
immediately after the
Interesting.
conclusion of their first arc. It's where all of the Mamulja came from. It's where all of the Blue Mages came from. It's where all of the fucked up soul science and soul corruption and all of that shit that happened in Final Fantasy XI came from. The story is not there one for one. There's no like immediate character parallel, but very much the setting and the vibe of this will be a vacation, and then you're just crying on the floor in the rain, which was I've never cried harder at a video game than I have at the end of Treasures of Adargon. I'm dead
cannot
serious.
wait.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely brilliant. That's the other one that we've gotten so much expose for here, and a lot of the regions as well. The southern part of Yoctel is very one for one Uldum and oh god, what's it called, Adolin regions. There's a lot of like map design that's coming more explicitly.
I was gonna
from
say, what about that fate?
around. Yeah, and all of the fates too, because there's a few fates in each region that just are either references to. There was something called. It's not Assault. It's basically the overworld engagement system in 11 that was introduced in Treasures of Adargon, where world events would happen to shift the political tidings between the Empire and the outlying regions, and you would have to like go steal stuff back from city-states. A lot of the fates reference the way that it was set up. It was really cool. I hope 14 starts implementing something like that. It would encourage a lot more. Yeah, Besieged. That's it. Yeah. It would encourage a lot more engagement with the overworld beyond you have finished quests and fates here.
That would be really nice. I would really like to see that because, like, I get the fate grinding system, where they're like, hey, do 60 fates and you get more stuff to spend stuff on, or get more gems, and I'm kind of like, all right, but it's more of a grind thing, not so much a hey, there's going to be an impact from this, even though it tells you, hey, you brought some stability to the region. That just means the vendor gives you more stuff to buy.
Right. Versus in 11, this only happened once in the city-state, and it was a pain in the ass, so I don't want them to do it in the city-states, but in the overworld, like, you couldn't access any of the quest-giving NPCs until you finished whatever was going on.
Oh, that's obnoxious.
So we talked about, well, it made sense because it's a war-torn area, right? So it actually, instead of detracting from the story, it added to it pretty significantly, because we were going to meet with a political leader to try and stop a conflict. And then the city was under attack from, like, the region where we were currently coming from, trying to make peace with them. So it added a layer of, oh, we need to stop the fighting on both sides before we can actually have this meeting. It was great. It was 30 minutes of my life, but it's great. It added to the story.
I will say this. I say it's obnoxious, but at the end of ARR during Heavensward, I was furious that we had access to Ul'dah. Like, I did not want to have access to that city because it made no sense. And then they were like, oh yeah, they kept the whole thing quiet, and I was like, bullshit. We shouldn't even be able to get into the city.
Right. Yeah. So it's stuff like that. Oh, I completely lost my train of thought. The electrolytes are kicking in. That I think 14 would really benefit from.
I agree.
What about, and I'm referring to a specific fate in a specific area, a specific person in 11, person in black. What about him?
You are going to have to be significantly more specific than that.
Meowth may know because he was in the City of Opera Omnia too. He's the one that looks like P8S.
Oh, so that's not a fate. That's why I was confused.
Okay.
Yeah, so that
It's
is
an S rank. So he'd be an S rank.
it's an S rank. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so that is an S rank with very similar coloration to Celteus. Which, you know what? I'm just gonna leave that there, because I know that Cobb is playing through 11 right now, and you haven't seen how Celteus achieves that form yet, so I'm kind of dancing around what specifically that is. But
Does he eat a bunch of souls?
No. No, but that's also not the full description for the S rank. Is he appears on fields of battle where souls have been lost.
Okay.
So keep that in mind as just symbology of an angel of times gone by, of great loss, appearing in times of grief, very specifically grief.
Okay.
Yeah. So a harbinger, but not of death, not of soul collection, but of loss.
That's
Yep.
way more
He
terrifying.
looks like his design reminded me exactly of a character from Opera Omnia. I didn't play 11 enough to get to him, but I played obviously the mobile game along with Meowth enough to recognize that character's color scheme.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, it's him.
Yeah, it was fun because I started playing 11 right around the time that we were finishing up that raid tier. And so we finished the raid tier, and then we started Chains of Promathia, which is where this character comes in. And I was sitting there like, they made some choices with Hephaestus here. Those wings look pretty similar. And then we got this S rank in 14, and I was like, oh, they are just going to continue to borrow this symbology. I'm entirely here for it.
I mean, they borrow a lot from 11 to be perfectly fair.
Yeah, I know, but like when they're doing the one-for-one stuff instead of this is just another Final Fantasy MMO or borrowing like models for combat because they take those rigs from every other Final Fantasy game, right?
Mhm.
When it's more one-for-one and specific, you go, "Oh, this is raising some eyebrows." For
How much is this
example-
actually coincidence?
Right. For example, Neela, you found some interesting things in the final arena.
It's
About a
great
week
because I
ago.
didn't even know what I'd found. I was just like, oh, here's a really good shot of this building I managed to catch. And then,
And we were
then
like,
Arden, I think it was
oh.
whoever it was like, hold
I wonder what
on,
that
wait
is.
a minute.
Yep. Yeah. So there's just architecture from different regions of Vanadil in the final fight.
In the Intercoast, yeah.
Yeah, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a few reasons, because there is a segue here where, one, Sveen has previously destroyed a version of Vanadil, or two, 14 is an Abyssia, which in Vanadil terms is... So, oh god, how do I describe this? In Chains of Promathia, you're attempting to stop an apocalypse. Abyssia is what if you fail. That Abyssia is the
boy.
what if you fail storyline.
That's
and it
the
doesn't
one-
come into later.
That's the one where the war against the beasts fails, and it's like,
No. Nope.
okay,
Yeah, that whole war that you were set up for in the base game is just a front. Like, the first cutscene in Zealot will explain this to you.
okay.
In an
No.
incredibly funny way, because it's like, oh yeah, remember you didn't get fanfare for beating the Shadow Lord? Here's a 15-minute cutscene that will, like, be the best cutscene you've ever seen in your life.
Excellent.
Yep.
I need that.
So-
Now, I have a
Yes, go ahead.
I had a question because I've heard some talk of this. I haven't Again, I've never actually managed to find the time to delve into 11. It's up there if the if it happens, it happens, But I've heard stuff like, oh yes, there's sometimes these timelines, and this is the bad one that I think I've heard tell of. Is this the sort of thing where it's like in Final Fantasy XIV, the Eighth Umbral Calamity is like this, not strictly speaking unmoored, but it's a timeline that doesn't play out as the core one. Is that something that like would make sense for it to connect up with this game?
Yes and no. So in 11, they also don't really use the word timeline that way.
Gotcha.
There's like worlds within crystals. So yes, you can think of it as a separate timeline because that is it is another time where this happened, but it isn't like its own entirely independent like branching thing. It's just this
Interesting.
is
Okay.
yeah. It is more of a what if scenario, but it isn't like the world has the same history. It just splinters at that
Gotcha.
point. Yeah, it's
Okay.
more
Okay.
collected, it's more isolated. This is so difficult when you're talking about a metaphysical concept. I hope this
Right.
makes sense. Right.
Well, that's why I asked, because
Right.
I'm not super familiar and I didn't know if it worked the same. So it sounds like it's kind of different, but like
Yeah.
may or may not really matter for these purposes. I don't know.
No, but
Interesting.
it is important to think about that because the Abyssia is very much specifically what if you fail in Chains of Promathia, but there is speculation that every time an apocalypse happens, there's an isolated pocket version where it does. So Abyssia very much is exploring Promathia because the way that apocalypse comes about is so poetically beautiful. Like, it will bring you to tears. Like, you will want it to happen as you're trying to stop it. Like, that level of brilliant writing. You'll see what I'm talking about
I love it.
eventually, I promise. But there's a theory that it could be the case for Ragnarok, which is what you stop in Treasures of Adargon, which is a cataclysm of souls. Or, for example, Wings of the Goddess, where there's a literal demon goddess who used to be this little girl who failed to save her father, who starts messing with an actual timeline, which is a little bit more linear what you're used to, Neela. But like, she ends up becoming a villain, and through that, other story things happen. So there's potential for an Abyssia where that doesn't happen.
Okay.
It's a lot of cool stuff. So all this to say is the fact that we're seeing the ruins of Bastok, the ruins of the Bosidine Glacier, the ruins of Kufim, in Svine's area is fully that in the context of Vana'diel, this could be an Abyssia world where everything ended.
I will say it does look very
Actually,
broken up.
Right.
Like, one of the things I commented when I was taking those screenshots, I was actually in there to get the German and French lines for when Sveen connects up the worlds and does that section. And then I started looking around and was like, whoa, and started taking screenshots. The one just looks like this huge deep cavern with all these different striated levels of rock.
Yeah,
But the other one is a nearly spherical, almost inside out looking, like I have another screenshot I'll have to dig up that had like what looked like farms and the foundations of destroyed, like, very simple buildings. It wasn't like Twisted Metal, it was like, rock rubble.
Right.
And these were like plastered to the inside of this incredibly busted up looking sphere-ish shape. It's redo the final fight if you get a chance, not just to help a newbie out, but to take a look at that section. It's some stuff going on there. It is really interesting.
I'm sure they'll improve upon that in the extreme version too.
Oh, I'm so looking forward
Oh
to
my,
it.
yes.
We actually
can't
have
wait
a few
to suffer.
questions in chat.
Yes.
AC Gears and Arms says, think Altana and Promathia will be involved in the raid.
I think Promathia will. I don't know about Altana. It's kind of hard to go back into that because Altana is very much this metaphysical Heidelin person, except explicitly worse somehow. Like the only Promathia is after you defeat Promathia and she starts crying. Like that's pretty much it, right? What is the name of the Leia-looking woman that I can never remember because I just am filled with rage whenever she's on screen? There's like a priestess of Altana that I think we might interact with purely for the sake of she's the best person to kind of explain narrative things if we have to go talk to NPCs about Promathia, just because she is the one who holds all of the secrets, right? But
Holds all of the
Promathia,
secrets, huh?
yeah. Oh no, she was like part of this huge conspiracy to hide the truth about Promathia and like what it would take to actually defeat Promathia.
Oh,
And
how
all of this
idling.
shit from the world. Yeah, no, it's just like, oh yeah, here's 2 different versions of the same prophecy. It's your job to figure out how to actually make it work. No, okay. Yeah, we can talk about this.
No, I love that though.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's beautiful. The way that it comes together is absolutely insane as well. This is part of why I love Nagmalata. So the prophecy is that there is this song, and when the song is sung in its entirety, you will summon Promathia and the world will end. However, this song can only be sung by a god, of which Promathia is the only actual true god. The singular exception is that Bahamut knows all of the words, he just refuses to sing it because he's petty. He could become a god if he wanted to, he chooses not to because he's Bahamut.
Well,
He
that's
sounds
a
like
relief.
a mood, I'm not gonna lie.
Right, so a lot of like the second half of Chains of Promathia is... spoilers, I guess. I'm not going to give you the details of the song itself, but it involves rainbows, Cobb. That's why we're insane about this.
Oh, that's why you and Arden are freaking out about rainbows. Okay.
Yes, because a lot of this quest that you're on is to collect the pieces of the song so that you can get the final verse, because it's decided that in order to defeat Promathia, you have to summon it. We finally, like, get that together. There's a lot of interpersonal drama happening while that's going on, right? Except they decide not to sing the song because it's too great of a risk. You hear the final verse and you go, we're going to use this in extreme cases only.
AC Gears and Arms. AC Gears and Arms asking, is Smile the Apocalypse song?
No,
Oh, no,
no, but it does reference it quite a bit, which is part of why I love Smile. It's like, it's supposed to deceive you. You were all missing the point. It's going over your heads. Oh, can I spoil this one character moment for you, Cobb?
Yes, because I'm all about context. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, you're finally like dealing with all of these things, and there is a critical point in time where Nagmalata learns the truth about everything that has happened, everything that his people has done, the way that his people have betrayed his relationship with Bahamut, just all of these things. And he kind of falls to his knees, and he asks, why must man experience suffering to live at all? And he expresses a desire that if the only purpose in life is to suffer, why do we exist? Why do I have to be here? Why is me trying my best not enough to save everybody? And he inadvertently completes the song in asking these questions out loud. And the prophecy is fulfilled because in order for both of the prophecies to be true, both for to sing the song you summon Promathia, but only Promathia can sing the song, he became Promathia in that moment, using like the abandoned like emptiness of man. He chose to embody the emptiness of man so that it could be physically defeated tangibly, but first he had to feel those emotions in order to become the thing of emptiness which must be defeated. It's the most poetically I'm crying thinking about this. It's the most poetically beautiful thing, and I will never recover from it. Because mind you, this is the same man who spent over 10,000 years loving Bahamut, despite the fact that their peoples were at war.
Oh.
Right. But that's why that song, The Fucking Rainbows, keeps getting us, because we're like, this is just directly, why are we referencing the Song of Prophecy here? This is ominous. I forgot what we were talking about this.
It's fine, because I want to talk about that, because that sounds like the kind of emotional trauma that I pay for.
Yeah, you're
right.
You will pay for it with your money and also your tears.
There you go.
It was such a beautiful moment too, and I can't stress enough like the care that cutscenes in Final Fantasy XI are animated with, because they're all in engine, but things interact with each other. Like everything is custom rigged. You'll see people change their outfits mid cutscene, like tying ribbons around stuff. Like everything has collision. There's like
Hmm.
actual crying and like gently holding people's faces as they die and like falling to your knees and all of that stuff. The love and care with which all of this comes together is just so it's
Okay,
stunning. It's
so
beautiful.
clearly I need to get past the base game because none of that is in the base game.
Yeah. I mean, you'll see it immediately when you start Rise of the Zealot.
Okay.
I'm dead serious. That first cutscene is like, hey, remember when the Shadow Lord died? And then it'll give you the cutscene that you didn't see when you actually kill him.
Mm.
And you'll be like, God damn, what's going on here?
I think I vaguely remember something about that.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Like there was someone else there.
Oh yeah, there were many other someones there. That's where you get introduced to the Archangels.
Okay. Good. So how
Every
long's
time
this...
I hear Shadow Lord, I immediately think Nier.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course.
no, I do the same thing every time running up. I was like, Shadow Lord, Shadow Lord.
I'm sorry, I have a Taro-induced brain.
It's fine.
Right. So back to the Alliance raid stuff. I think it would make the most sense for them to explore the Promathia thing, just because it's the last like real tangible tied to the Shadow Lord thing they could do, besides just the base game, which there's not a lot there to turn into an Alliance raid because there's not really a lot of combat. But also consider if we get Chains of Promathia, then we will get a Soken arrangement for Memoria della Stono Distant Worlds,
Oh
which
my
is
God.
the Song of Prophecy.
That is a
So-
very good song.
Can I
Right.
just say that my favorite rendition of that currently was the one from Record Keeper. Like Record Keeper didn't have good original music, but the remixes and the arrangements were incredible.
Right.
Luas non sango sen culpa.
Yeah, that song is also so
Culpa
fascinating.
nadie
So we're gonna
basta
actually
Yeah.
we're gonna
So-
clip that meowth.
So what's fascinating about the song is it was actually originally written in Estonian and then translated to English. but they
Esperanto.
had-
Esperanto.
That's what it was. Yes, but they recorded both versions, and it's incredible. It's just a beautiful piece of music, and I would really really love to hear a Soken arrangement of it. However, I would also like to propose a Primals version.
Oh my God.
It's just an absolute banger. That would be a lot of fun for me as well.
I have had the pleasure of hearing that live 3 times now. At Distant
I
Worlds.
have yet to hear it live at Distant Worlds. I need to go. The Warrior
It is
of
a
Light.
very,
It's amazing.
very good song.
I mean,
Look at the
technically, technically, the whole orchestra, Distant Worlds, is basically named after a song of 11, right?
Yeah, that's the one we're talking about.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I mean because the Distant Worlds orchestra or event is, after all, named after that song in 11, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
it was a piece of music that powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's just incredible.
Also, an incredible cutscene too for its time. It was good.
Yeah, because that was the first time. It's not a voiced game, and the music isn't vocalized, with the exception of the first time you hear this song in its entirety, which is one of the, like, I guess you would call it like the epilogue for Chains of Promathia, as you hear someone sing it without the negative connotation, therefore she can sing it. It's very well done. It's very impressive.
I just want to say really quickly, in answer to the can the Warrior of Light sing canonically, I have an answer for that. Everyone can sing. It's just a question of whether or not it sounds like singing.
There you go.
No, I like the answer. The Warrior of Light can't even speak you.
We can mouth words, and then people are like, "Ah, I see. Yes. Mm.
It's better than being what you are at 11, which is you can't say shit and you are at the mercy of others to decide everything for you.
That's true. And
That's
I-
that's almost something even poetic. If you
I-
think
Yes,
about
it is.
and I keep saying this. We do have a dedicated episode coming up to Final Fantasy XI.
Yes.
That I will probably be able to contribute absolutely nothing to, aside from I need to buy more crystals so I can craft.
What do you mean this is not already an 11 episode?
Yeah. Well, we're technically talking about the Alliance raid, but there's a lot to go into in 11. We could probably do like 7 or 8 episodes just on 11.
I give you a PowerPoint presentation of all my favorite characters.
There you go.
Get to
One
it.
character per episode.
Oh God. I mean, I could spend probably 6 hours alone just talking about Nagmalata. I will be entirely honest.
That's a hope move.
I just love him so much. And he was like the most hated character. Nobody liked him, and I'm like, why?
That's a
What
hope
did you
move!
see?
Oh, so it really is Hope.
I was gonna say that's like me out with Hope.
Hey, I actually liked Hope. He developed very
I still have you and your meme about after that scene in Nine
That,
Returns.
well, now that I'm gonna play 11, and apparently there are some really good characters in there. We'll see if that holds up.
You know what? I'm gonna assign you a character right now, Cobb.
All right.
I'm gonna clock you so hard, very publicly.
Oh no.
Naja Salahim. You are going to love her. They can never put her in Final Fantasy XIV because the community would absolutely hate her. She's a mercenary leader in Utter Dawn,
Okay.
which will be the expansion when you finish Chains of Promathia. Her whole shtick is that she runs a very successful Ponzi scheme.
Oh my god, I like her
I love
already.
it already.
That's it. And it's really funny because she's very mean to you, and she has an ultimate simp assistant who
Oh
will
my
just do whatever he's told.
I
And at some point she starts to like you, and you get to play dress up with her as she finds appropriate attire to go to the palace to accept a reward that you earned for her.
okay. So
She takes
Amazing.
credit for all of your work.
you're not wrong. First, and I was
How
gonna
dare
ask,
you.
is she an absolute piece of trash human being? Because if so, I'll probably love her.
I mean, she's actually like she's got morals, just not when it comes to money. Is probably the best way
That's
that I
fair.
have to describe it. Hold on, let me grab an image.
Oh, I already pulled her up.
Person, I was gonna say
Yeah.
this is the same person who likes Sparkle and Honkai Star Rail.
Sparkle's amazing and did nothing wrong.
So that's not just Salahim. You will enjoy her. She will hurt you. Is probably the best. Oh yeah, here's her simp assistance of Kaba. So this man is just politely in the corner at any given point in time. He is also her accountant. He has everything memorized. It's hilarious. Not to be confused with the main villain in, I believe it's Secrets of Adeline, who is in fact an evil accountant.
My god, I love it.
You can just say accountant, you know.
I know.
I love how I literally Googled Naja Salahim just to see who this character is, and literally the first thing that comes up for it, people also search for. I can't pronounce his name. Abkuba.
Avkaba.
Abkuba. Yeah, Avkuba. Yeah, it's
Avkuba,
the first
yeah.
thing. It's like people also search for Avkuba.
It's a good bit that they do.
I like it. I wish to experience this. So, how long does this free login campaign work last?
2 or 3 days. Like I said, it's exactly like the Final Fantasy XIV one.
See, the problem for me is I've never used the Final Fantasy one because I've just kind of been subscribed since I started playing.
Well, then
So I don't actually know how it works.
You should be able just to log in.
Yeah,
No, I just don't know how the 11 one works as a result.
It was literally, I just went to log in and it let me in instead of telling me that I don't have an active account.
Yeah. You should be able just to log in if you have a login.
Yeah. Which, I don't know what happened to my original 11 account that got lost to the ages.
It got eaten by Play Online.
It must
Oh yeah,
have.
that's the other thing. I would love the instance music of They probably can't do this because
No.
I don't think that Square Enix owns the rights to it. But they should. The music for the launcher, the Play Online launcher, is absolutely notorious. It would be really funny if they had anything in game to to commemorate that. Like it was like the community meme for the existence of the game.
Are you suggesting that Square didn't own Play Online? Because I don't know. It was a nightmare.
It was like a third-party licensing agreement thing. So I'm pretty sure they own it now, but they didn't like own certain parts of it. I don't know the specifics, so don't quote me on that.
We have already quoted you on it. Sorry.
Okay, no.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm saying that I'm not a reliable source because I wasn't born when the Play Online launcher was first released. It's that old.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, gamers.
That hurts because I was like, I was in college.
Yeah, I was a 1999 baby.
Okay.
Oh, you're.
I was just going into high school.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, same.
Sorry that all of you are rapidly aging as we speak.
1999. I think I wasn't even in primary school.
Okay, all right.
Also
At least
a baby.
so it's not that much older.
Young whippersnappers.
Get off my lawn.
I'm turning 30 this year. I hate it.
I don't want to
You're
hear
gonna hate
now.
everything after 30.
No, I've told
Guess
you.
what?
30.
I'm turning
30 is not bad. 31 is terrible.
This is true.
Because
That was
30,
9
you,
years
you
ago for
prepare,
me.
you spend time preparing for 30. You're ready for it, and then 30 hits and nothing happens. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's no
And
big
then-
deal.
Yeah, and then you get complacent, and then 31 comes and it hits you
Mm-hmm.
like a damn truck.
Say goodbye to your back
Yeah, and everything else.
and or knees.
Oh, they hurt just thinking about it.
Okay,
Right.
I found the Play Online music.
I was
I
wondering.
you're not
I would
gonna
find
play
it
for us.
hilarious because even now, even before I started trying to play 11 again, I remembered the Play Online music. It is so I don't even know how to describe it. It's like like screeching glass. I'm gonna put it in
It's
the
just
BGM.
very loud. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Oh,
do
God.
that, and I'm just gonna play
Be
it.
careful.
No, not
Oh my
today.
God.
Not today. During the
Okay.
11
I was
episode,
gonna say,
I'm just gonna play it very, very softly in the background the entire
that's the
time.
easiest way to empty this room.
We've basically just been doing mild 11 episode in the
I know.
Croatoan waiting room.
Croa
Yeah.
says he's on his way back. He's almost back now, so he should be on soon.
Oh no.
Who do you think
I
we're
s-
going to see?
I say though, if Aeneas and Arden get the 11 episode, I want my Fabula Nova Crystallis episode for Dawntrail onwards.
It's just going to be Meowth talking the entire time?
No, I'll
Which
talk to you.
will be-
I'll have things to add.
Yeah, there's stuff there. There's stuff to talk about there.
Listen, every time. No, you guys, whenever you had your streams, your lore diving streams, I would pop in, troll you guys for about an hour, and then pop out.
Yeah, it was great. And
You
then-
and you and I still have another Draconeer episode
We need to do that. Because Meowth is the Drakengard fan, and I'm the Nier fan in this room. I still played Drakengard, but Meowth went harder into Drakengard than I did, and I went harder into Nier than Meowth did.
Yes, which
So,
is why you
we-
know all
we-
these things that you think everyone knows, but nobody does.
True.
Listen, I did a playthrough of Nier Replicant on stream, and it's on our YouTube channel if people want to go check it out, and I did a voiceover of it, and I talk about all these references, so if you want to check them out, you can go on our YouTube, and there's a playlist there of my Nier Replicant playthrough, and I talk over it and talk about all the references in both Nier and 14.
There you go. Everybody can go check that out.
But you should do another of Automata because yeah.
I should do Automata, but I think Arden wanted to do an initial, they've never played a Automata before. And so I was
Oh.
like, hey, you know what? I'm going to pop in and do the whole voiceover thing and be, like, oh, this is from this is from this,
That would be great. I would
and
watch
here's the
that.
lore behind this and this and this. Basically, do what you did, Meowth.
Hmm.
And if they don't want to do that, that's fine. I'll do the automata playthrough. But I'm
AC
waiting
Gears and
on
Arms
confirmation.
has the comment of the day. Would you say she's not nearly as big a fan as you?
Hey.
Ha 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 ha.
But no, that sounds like an awesome time, especially considering that it's 14 adjacent. And I just kind of want to dive off into that for a sec, talking about, now that they've confirmed what we already knew, that 14 is a multiverse, but now we have evidence that expands beyond that with, multiple dimensions with Nier. Do you think that's something they might pull into 11? Because we did get Aroha already in 14.
Right, and that's in the context of how she functions in Vanadil, which is basically that she's just teleporting in and out of crystals, with very cryptic messages for
How
you.
dare she?
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to manifest, largely because by nature of this being an MMO, there is some suspension of, like, it's a video game. You have to put things in a video game, right? So I don't think that we have to read into it in a very, very that sense.
Into everything.
Right. Yeah, not that specific way. Like, Nier is a great example. Everyone is like, oh, because the Nier raids are canon to the Nier universe, even though it's not in a Nier game, it's in a Final Fantasy game. The reverse is not necessarily true, right? Because
Right.
that's not how Square Enix does their IP. That's a very Yoko Taro specific thing.
Oh yeah, everything
right.
is canon for Yoko Taro.
Right, but that's not true for 14. The weapons in Reincarnation are a great example, because they borrowed those from 14, but they don't mean the same thing in Reincarnation that they do here. I mean, the names of the emotions that they embody are the same, but in 14 it's very much not that, like, Hades is intentionally carving them out of himself, right? You have defeated him, and thus the burden of his emotions fall to you. That's the symbology that's happening there, versus in Reincarnation, I believe.
Rhapsodic, what did you just do?
What's happened? What are you doing? What
Rhapsodic said, "Gotta play the play online waiting room music for the now."
For the waiting room
11
for the 11 episode.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Done. Done.
No.
Cobb was already planning on it. Yeah. So that's an example of that. I think that a lot of the stuff that we've gotten in 14 already is stuff that has been taken from 11, but doesn't necessarily mean it's 11. Like, I'm flying through Yockel right now. I think that's kind of what they've done with this region. It looks so much like Adolin, but that doesn't mean that this is canonically Adolin, right? Where the line for that is going to get a bit murky is in the Alliance raid, because we don't know if they're going to be like, Vanadil is a shard. Vanadil is another place that we haven't been to yet, kind of like how they did Dalmasca in that Alliance raid series, because that is a place
That's
on
a whole
this
other
star.
episode.
Right.
Ooh.
Right, yeah. So it's because they're pulling this from another Final Fantasy game, it could go one of two ways. One is the way that they did for Tactics, and the other is that they make it more of a metaphysical thing. Because it could be fun if they made Vanadil another shard, and had that be a place that had been ravaged by Sveen for a bit, for example, which could be why we're seeing so many of these things in the arena. The other reason that we could be seeing these things in the arena is that they needed to imply destruction, and it's not meant to be literally that place, but just another Final Fantasy region that Sveen has broken up, right? Does that make sense?
Or it might even be from their homeworld.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff in Ea Solani as well that's borrowed symbology from a region that's mentioned in Ettergon, Uldum. And the parallel there is that it is a place that fell into disarray. It was the downfall of a civilization due to electricity. There's a parallel there, but it's not like, this is Uldum, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the connection that we're drawing. So that's why it's significant when they're not just using the symbology of a place, but name dropping it specifically, like they've done with Mobile Polos. Name dropping it in the context that they did is way more like, this is a narrative thing that we are fully pulling in. Because it could also just be that they're just taking the universe of 11 and putting it in 14 and not even making it
That would
like
be
a separate
nuts.
shard or anything. Which would be cool. Like they have the room for it.
The
it
11th
would
shard
work.
is alive.
Yeah.
Don't pull that.
Even though we know that the shard number doesn't correspond to the game it's from.
It does not. No.
It does not, but it could be funny if it did in this instance, because that is the exact kind of meme bullshit that 11 loves to pull. Like, it takes its story very, very much like 7 and 8, where it's a very serious story, but it is a meme at the same time, and it works very, very well.
Amazing.
I mean, if Final Fantasy 14 can have every single thing refer to 14 somehow, they can let 11 have this one thing, right?
Yeah. 11 of all things has earned it. Yeah, there is another. Oh God, how do I talk about the triplets in 11? This is mildly an 11 thing now. So there are triplets, Milala triplets that you meet in 11, whose entire
Now, are
quest
they
line
Malala or are they Tarutaru?
They're Taru.
Okay.
I'm just using them interchangeably in this case.
Got it.
That's on me. Their entire subplot is that they're looking for their dad, and any time they see another Taru, they're like, "Oh, this is my dad now." It does not matter what gender they are. And then when they get bored of that person, they decide that they're not their father because their father could never be so boring, and then they move on.
What the
And
fuck?
this is just something kind of happening in the background of the main story of Chains of Promathia. And you don't really care who their father is, other than the fact that they're sometimes helpful and sometimes they side with the enemy. It's kind of a toss-up where the triplets are going to fall at any given point in time. Until suddenly you see them accidentally cast Meteor at the age of like 7, and then they just wander off again. Like they cast Meteor in a major city, and then you wake up in a field and they've stolen things from you, and they're just gone, and you're like, what?
That's the kind of chaotic energy that I live for.
Right, yeah. And it's like a thing that is relevant because they do like join you in the final fight, and they do have a moment where they're like, actually, we're also freelancing, so whoever pays us the most skill will receive our assistance in a fight, and suddenly that means a whole lot more. It's not just kids going on an adventure. At some point it's like, oh shit, they can cast Meteor. And if you don't pay them, they'll join your enemy. And like,
my God.
you'll be on the receiving end of their ire. It's a good bit, but it's an example of taking itself seriously and not too seriously at the same time. That's the kind of humor that Vana'diel brings to the table. It's very dry. It's very funny.
I like it. I like dry humor.
Taru are far scarier than Lalas. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, there's Shantoto there.
Exactly. They have Shantoto.
Yeah.
There's no
That's true.
there's no comparison.
Shantoto on her own has that power.
Mhm.
So, what do you think about having Prish in the Alliance raid?
That would come with necessity of Chains of Promathia. I hope that she gets treated well, because that is a story that requires some nuance. And I have faith that the team can write it well. I'm just concerned about community backlash, given that this is the only time that her specific trope I think I've ever seen done well in media.
You want to elaborate on it, or do you think that's going to be controversial?
No, it's so. How do I describe this? You know that trope where a woman is like 90 and looks like a child?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, the immortal vampire.
So Prish is cursed to look like she is 16. In reality, she's like, at least 40 something. it is something that is done well in Final Fantasy XI. Like, I cannot stress to you enough, this is the only time I've ever seen this trope handled correctly. And they don't make it weird in any way either. Like, it's not a sexualized thing whatsoever, but it is something I'm concerned about just because the trope itself has so much negative connotation. Which is a shame because it's actually like handled really interestingly. Like, it adds to the story and nobody makes it weird other than the fact that she's like a cursed child, right? That's more the thing. People are afraid of the fact that she doesn't age, but she's still treated with respect and independence. Let me put it this way. Prish is, if anybody in Final Fantasy XI was allowed to say fuck, but only one person could say it a single time for the PG-13 rating, it would be Prish. And she would just tell somebody to fuck off.
Wasn't
put
that
up a middle
Swordfish
finger
they did that?
and walk away. Yeah.
Can only say fuck, or can only say that word once for the PG-13 rating. Well,
Yeah.
fuck that.
Oh, is Shatoto related in any way to Shantoto? That's a good question. I'm gonna say probably, because there is a whole expansion about Shantoto cloning herself and going to different worlds in order to conquer them.
I was gonna say I have an
Yep.
answer for that.
Yep.
So there's theories surrounding that because Shatoto was a mage back in the Maki era, who actually led the Black Mages through. It wasn't the whole war, but she actually led the contingent of them. And they described her as a very powerful mage who had very similar quips and similarities to Shantoto herself. And the Encyclopedia Eorzea actually describes Shatoto in a way that you could actually believe that Shantoto cloned herself, maybe, or skipped realities in some way and just decided to become the leader of another faction of Black Mages. So, it is not entirely unfeasible.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of Shintoto's character thing. You know how Sid is always an engineer? Shintoto will always clone herself and try to conquer another reality. Never the one that she's actually in, mind you. But always alternate ones. Which is very funny.
She is that powerful. She really is that powerful. Despite my lack of 11 knowledge, I do know that from like Dissidia or the Opera Omnia mobile game or just reading things online, she is that powerful. I just know.
It's you know that meme where someone's holding up a book and one of them is really long and then one of them is really, really short, and the bit is always, if X character had a gun. In 11, there's the plot of Final Fantasy 11, and then there's the plot of Final Fantasy 11 if Shantoto didn't think it was amusing to watch other people do things she could do, like, in an instant. Because the game would just be so much shorter. She could take care of everything, but she chooses not to because it's more entertaining to let you do all the work.
Yes.
Isn't Julian a void scent? AC Gears is talking about what about the trope with Julian and the Manderville parents being extremely old but not looking it.
Man, don't ask me about Manderville things.
The Mandervilles are higher beings.
I mean, Julian's a void scent, so that's easy.
Oh my gosh. You think Prish mainly gets respect mostly because of Olmia?
Yeah, so Prish's whole relationship with Olmia is that they were kids together, and then Olmia started aging, but Prish didn't. They are very, very close friends. Who knows if something else happens later down the line? But a lot of Olmia's character is about trying to make sure that Prish is still seen as a person instead of just something to be kept locked away. They have a very good, positive relationship because of that. Olmia is always the first person to stand up to Prish, even
Hey, Crow.
Hello.
Hey, go ahead and hop down into podcast voice.
I gotcha.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry about that.
we all set?
Yes, so Crow's here. He's gonna hop in.
And
There
now
he
we
is.
disappeared, all
Hey!
of us.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
how's it going?
Hey!
I made it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I
It's all
promise I
good.
don't make this a habit. This is not normal business.
It's all good.
It's
It's all
okay.
good.
It's totally fine.
They let me talk about Final Fantasy XI for an hour, so I'm extremely happy.
No, that's awesome. That's actually perfect. It filled the time in which I was essentially securing my future line of work, which I will be talking about after all
Awesome.
of this.
Exciting. Exciting.
I'm still so happy
So-
for you, dude.
Yeah. Anais knows. It's going to be a surprise for everyone else on the cast, but I will be announcing it at the end of the show because I did want to share it with everyone. The only thing is, I had to get this contract signed first before I could even say anything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why I was rushing. I was like, So I had to do the legal stuff first, but legal stuff is done. So I
Awesome.
can talk about it after this.
Nice.
No, it's going to be exciting. But yeah, I do apologize for the lateness.
All good.
No, it's totally
was-
fine.
So,
It was
Crow,
definitely,
welcome to the show. Firstly, thank you for
Yes.
joining us here today. So, tell us a little bit about where people can find your stuff, where they can check you out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I am Croatoan. Well, I go by Croatoan. I have a lot of names, unfortunately. This is ongoing debate and issue with the internet, I think. But for the most part, you can find me as Croatoan, my creative name, and then Ananko Noira on Ultros at the moment. Primal, I play a Vieira male there. And then you can also find me, I'm also on, I'm mainly on Primal. So, but
As
Run-
Primal,
what's that?
you're on Primal as well. I think the
Yes,
entire
yeah.
cast is on Crystal or Aether or EU.
Yeah, I I was actually I was born on the Primal, so I do a lot of my stuff there. I'm actually thinking we're moving around, but
Right.
we can also find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. I run the Esalen Collate, and that's my platform where I just lore rant for hours about every little such thing. So that's
Love
how I
it.
get on this kind of stuff. Yep. Because then we're always ranting about the good content. So
Awesome. Well, yeah, like Anais was saying, we were kind of segued into Final Fantasy XI a bit and talking
Nice.
about the potential alliance raids. And I have to ask, how far have you gotten into Dawntrail?
I've beaten the expansion. I took enough time off to kind of like beat it like through live, which
Okay.
I got lucky. I think I had like enough time off to be able to play it live first of all, and then do the expansion at like a steady rate. So I was done, but I think I finished the final quest the day the Arcadian dropped.
Nice.
So I was like that like month-ish. That's what I used to get things done.
All right, so we don't have to
So-
worry about spoilers then.
No spoilers for me. Yes,
Alright.
I'm all materials.
All right, awesome. All right, well, let's dive in. What was your take on Dawntrail?
So I'm gonna admit, and I bring this up every time. I do admit to personal biases, right? And said bias is the fact that yo habla español. I've been a part, or I've had the opportunity to interact with the Latin community I lived in Honduras for 2 years, and my extended family, I have Chilean extended family members, and I have Mexican extended family members from two different sides of my family.
Yep.
And so I'm embedded. All right, this is my the culture, right? This is
Right.
the stuff that I know. So of course, walking in the Tuliolal and just being able to say the words the way I do, Tural and all of that. Like I can say it like that. I know. People are like, you don't have to roll the R. It's like, yes, but I can. That's what's important. They created
Exactly.
they created an opportunity for me to create characters in my favorite game that roll their R's.
Mhm.
Like this is perfect. It's here now. And yeah, that's with that as my opening statement, entering Tural was everything I expected it to be from the dev team. I knew they were going to do a good job with it. They surprised me at some points too. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't expect to see. But overall, I will say, in terms of introducing many people that would not have an opportunity otherwise to learn of indigenous cultures in the Western Hemisphere, I think it's a great opportunity to start. And it's like, I mean, it's beautiful, right? Like, but all is gorgeous. I just walking into Kozamaka and all that. Like, I stayed there staring at the place for hours. I was like, I didn't progress anything. I just stared and take pictures. Like, it's.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
I tuned into your stream and you were there for 3 hours. Like, pixels on trees.
Just taking pictures.
I remember tuning in because there's a specific point in that map where they're like collecting sap from trees, and you were following the entire production line.
Yeah, I was tracking where the sap comes from in the trees in Kozamaka. It was gorgeous. I was like, they put so much detail here. Oh my gosh, I love the industry, right? You love how industries develops among the peoples of the West. It was great. They put a lot of effort. Again, expected from the dev team, because I've been part of the like playing the game since Heavensward, so I've seen all kinds of different adaptations and takes on various themes. So I was like, all right, now's the time to introduce in a very big way, this often misunderstood or not as broadly open, accessible culture. And I think they did a good job. So I was like, so I just stood there and stared at it for hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a culture a lot of people don't really think about. So I have very similar background to you. My grandma was Chilean, my mom's entire family Peruvian. And it still, like, it's not, and I've mentioned this before, it's not something that offends me, but seeing people running around in the crafting gear just reminds me of my grandma, because she used to wear stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I got it. But no, it was really, really cool to see how they handle that culture. And it's a culture that people don't really immediately think about when they think of Native American. Usually people think about Northern Native American, not so much Southern. So it was just really cool to see that. But yeah. And I remember you talking about getting mezcal for your playthrough too.
I did. I bought some mezcal. I want to say, when was it? Oh, gosh. I think it was after I beat the Arcadian. It was my celebratory drink for beating the Arcadian. And I was pleasantly surprised. I can genuinely understand why the Pelu Pelu make it a part of their industry. That stuff's delicious. That was such a good drink. I was like, it was like savory. I was like, sipping on it. I was like, wait a second. Like, you're like taking time to think about it. Like, I was like, this is actually an experience.
Mezcal's great.
Yeah, I actually did the same. I've never had it before, and I got curious, and I tried it, and I was like, oh yeah, it was like nothing I'd tasted before. It's really good.
Exactly, right? The flavor of mezcal I had, I don't know what specific flavor, but the brand is Monte Lobos, which I thought was pretty on point since they have Lobos in the game now. Like I was like, oh my gosh, is that a well, okay. I was like, is that a Lobos? I saw the name before I saw the monster, and then I saw the teeth, and then I was like, whoa.
Fun fact: those those silver Lobos are actually from Final Fantasy 13.
Nice. I figured they were from a specific game, because that was a very unique design that threw me off. Digested bear coffee. Oh. That's awesome.
I did that quest.
I did that quest, yeah.
I need to grab, I started, I think I cleaned out the Kozamaka's quests. I need to work on some of the others. So I had to stop because I was rushing to beat before the Arcadian came out.
The bear coffee reminded me of the civet cats of Civet Coffee.
Yeah. That's the cool part, right? Is like a lot of this lore that they're using is references to real life stuff. So everything in the game is just a window to a lived experience, and it's a chance for you to learn about it. And it's like, yeah, this is great. We always tell people to go travel and learn new things, but if you don't have the chance to do that, log into Final Fantasy 14, get started. That's the invitation to the journey, to learn more about other things. Like, I think it's great. But because they had mate. When I learned about the mate yogurt, I was like, oh my gosh, yerba mate. Like, I bought some that day, Like, I was like, so I loved being able to match the food in the game with food IRL that I was familiar with, and like on stream I was like sipping out of a pineapple, my little little sunrise that I made. So
That's awesome. I also had a freak out moment when they started talking about the mate, and I was like, oh my god.
yeah,
About mate is so good.
I did go a little English though. I was like, what's mate? I was like, I had to think about it for a second, and I was like, oh shoot, it's mate, and I was like, yeah, that's when it like clicked. I was like, I should have known that. I can't believe myself. Being bilingual is the funniest experience because there are just some words that you don't switch over properly, and then it just locks in the wrong definition. And you're like, oh, wait, switch.
Yep.
Oh, okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, tacos al pastor, tank food. I love it as tank food.
I remember when I was younger, the first time I heard about manga, I was like, why are people reading sleeves? What's going on?
Oh, yeah. We got Chad's how does mate taste? It's like, how do you describe it? It's like an herbal drink because it's the craziest process, right? I've watched people make it before. They have this like pot. It's like a ceramic pot, and they have these leaves, and they have to like you boil water through the leaves, and you like siphon that fluid out, and then that's what you're drinking. It's like it's like an herbal tea, but it's very specific process in how they brew it.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be much better like energy focus efficient than caffeine is.
And the flavor
right?
is
like
a lot better.
Yeah, flavor's better than caffeinated beverages. You don't have to really worry about sugar and stuff like that. It's essentially an alternative to caffeine.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're just drawing. Yeah, it's really good.
That
I like it a lot.
That explains why the Argentinians never shut up.
Because they have all the energy tea. Yeah. Yeah, no, the mate, it'll wire you up. It's good stuff. Like, I mean, I know if I need to focus on something specifically, I go for mate over caffeine because I'm like, yeah, this is probably going to help me better, So that was exciting to see in the game for sure. All the food, all the in-game references that it's like it's not just a direct reference either. They tied it into the game, right? The Mamulja are the ones making the tacos, things like that. It's like, that's awesome. I love that.
It's a cultural integration. They're not just like putting the food items in there. They're actually looking at the history of the dish, which is so cool.
So like, yeah, huge shout out to Kate. I know she's newer to the position. Because that's the thing. Everyone keeps saying Koji, right? Koji's not in charge of this anymore. Kate now, but Kate's doing a great job.
She really is.
She's been in charge of that since Shadowbringers, right?
Yeah, she was like eased into the position from what I understand, and like was working with Shadowbringers, but by Endwalker, she was the primary person in charge of lore development, and then like getting it out there. So everything in Dawntrail is Kate's work. Like Koji's probably her like boss, like kind of like oversees it, but he's not directly involved anymore, like he used to be. So
Yep.
Go Kate, she's doing a great job. I'm just excited to see the lore being handed over to a person that's just as passionate as the previous owner. There's you don't really see that. It doesn't feel rough in the sense of like, oh, transition to another person. Oh my gosh, they don't care as much. No, I think she does care, and she's doing a great job. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Oh, corn beer. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the chicha morada.
Yeah. They already got the elotes, right?
Yep.
And then, oh man, it was great. With the cherry moyas. Yeah. I'm just waiting. I'm like, where's the guavas? Where's the guanabana? Soursop. I'm just like, yeah. If you're gonna bring all the fruits in, bring all the fruits in. Okay. So
I think they're waiting for the strange triangle for all the Caribbean islands.
So, really fun experience with that one. If anyone did their crafter quest for Endwalker, I want to say it is the one with. It's the Studium quest with the Astrology Club. So I think it's Weaver, Carpenter, and then one more. One of that block of quests. The individual actually talks about barbacoa. So if you know your barbecue history, right? Barbecue actually originated in the Caribbean. It came from meat on spits, and so the native word used for that meat on spits was barbacoa. And so this Ellison is making reference to barbacoa in Charlie, and I lost my shit because I was like, oh, wait a second. I'm from, like my mom's from Trinidad. So I'm like, wait, the Caribbean. And they already said there's the archipelago. So the barbacoa comes from the archipelagos of the New World. That's where we're going to be going for Bermuda's Triangle. I keep saying Bermuda's Triangle. Of course, like, yeah.
It is
literally
Bermuda's
is.
Triangle.
Right? Which is literally, it's
Come on.
the same concept. But I hope they do a really good job with representing the Caribbean, because if South American and Central American traditions are oft misunderstood, the Caribbean is even more misunderstood. It's not very understood at all. So this would be a great opportunity to introduce people to Calypso, and I'm all for it. Like, you want to learn about the steel drum? It's such a cool instrument. Let's put it in Final Fantasy. Like, this is the time.
That would be awesome.
Art instrument unlocked.
Yes. Barbacoa's delicious. Oh, I do love the taste of it. But yeah, original barbecue comes from the Caribbean, and they mentioned that in game already. So I'm like, all right, now's the time. Bring my homeland into the game, and I will love you forever. Aliens and Ghosts and Triangle. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I'm excited for that one. Shades Triangle is gonna have a lot of good stuff. They already teased it, so
Yeah.
we got some good plan. I'm excited for that one.
When
That
does
will
that
have
drop?
to be the theoretically sometime next patch.
Okay.
Yeah,
So soon.
I want to say, because we got the teasers in the Chinese Fan Fest,
Yes.
screenshots and stuff, and that's the first area. So
I
I'm
would say
assuming
after the raid.
7.1.
Okay.
Right.
I've been like laser focused on cosmic exploration, so
Yeah,
Oh yeah, they teased that too. That's
Yeah.
I think they're going to treat it kind of like they did the variant criterion stuff, which means like odd patches, so like 1.5 or 3.5, right? Maybe even 2.5
That's fair, yeah.
once it's introduced.
Because I think it's technically new. It's their new content for the cycle, so they have to like test and ease it in. Hopefully, bringing the feedback from Bosnia, because Bosnia was great. It was a great improvement on Eureka.
It was.
I didn't hate Eureka, but I definitely understand why people hate Eureka.
Yeah. Well,
Like, I can't argue. Like,
I will say the first two zones of Eureka are painful, but after that, it's great.
No, they learned. They were starting to pick up. I think we have to give Yoshi P credit, because he did mention when Animos came out, they got all the development and feedback cycle information, but it was already too late to implement it for Pagos. Pagos was already too far down the development line to stop what was going on. But when they found out, oh, you actually don't like that, they couldn't fix it until Pyros.
Right.
That's why there's a huge shift of feel. Like, you're like, oh wait, why is Pyros so much better? It's like, because then they were able to change the issues. So,
Which is good. That shows us about
yeah.
how long it takes to implement the feedback that they get. So
yeah, about a patch, like a patch or cycle or two. So if you ever have any feedback requests, I would expect to see any changes implemented for that, like 2 patches from the request made, if it's picked up, when it gets picked up. But they do a good job. I mean, I've seen them, again, they've been doing this for what? This is their 11th year now. We got to give them some credit. They know what we need and what we want, and usually what we don't expect, but then they just make us cry about it, and then we're like, wait, but you know.
So
But
I'm assuming that Shades Triangle is going to be like an archipelago, like a series of islands where each one is a different island. Either that, or they're going to do something like Wind Waker, where you have to travel between the islands, which
that would be
kinda
fun.
cool. Yeah,
I would love to see nods to like Rum Runners. I don't
Oh,
know,
that'd
like
be
just
cool.
the idea, just the secrets of the island are kept in these stashes that only the people that were running the drinks would know how to get. And it's got that like pirate vibe, but not too piratey. It's giving you that the people that lived on the islands before, and they stuck it in bottles or something. I don't know. It would be cool seeing that. The best of Eureka and Bosnia. Yeah, I think for sure this next exploratory zone is supposed to be the best of the previous ones, and then it's going to be you're going to be able to level with it. Please bring back. I love field notes. I don't know about anyone else. I imagine everyone else here went to go get those field notes. I love the field notes.
Absolutely.
I want
for a different reason.
I also wanted the
fan of Evilly, so
Evilise is great. That's the thing. They did a great job with introducing it to the world. But it's like that amount of lore hidden away in Fates. Like I was like, say less. I mean, I have less incentives to do crazy amounts of grind, and you're giving me not only are you giving me so much information to read that's not even anywhere else in the game, but I get a bike with it. Yeah. No. See, I was done. Like,
Sold.
I think in that, and this was of course back in Stormblood when they released the Evilise raids. You remember how much exposition they gave people for
so
the
good.
Return to Evilise raids, and I think that was the beginning of what would become kind of like what Dawntrail was based on, just like a lot of exposition, a lot of like reading exposition, and not so much audio exposition.
yeah.
So I think that was one of the big takeaways that people had with Dawntrail, is that everything was not voiced, not much was voiced, and everything was read instead. Kind of like how the Evilise raids, the Alliance raids, were in Stormblood.
Right. Yeah, the reading there's a lot of reading for Basia, Save the Queen, and stuff. Like
Yes,
there's a lot of
there
stuff
is.
where people are like, "Wait, where did that come from?" Or when did that happen? And I'm like, "Oh yeah," because some people don't even know that the story technically concluded in the field notes. Like they finished the plot in the field notes, and then now I guess you can technically count the lore book, the third lore book, because it's published. I don't know. It's rough. We're like, there's a lot.
There's a lot of
that just
unknowns
yeah,
to that too, because
exactly.
Matsuno was vague with that with his tweets. He's like,
Yep.
"See you in another game," but then again, the epilogue to Basia was kind of
In the
open ended.
notes. Yep.
I mean, that's
And-
kind of the fun of it too, right? Because there was so much scenic storytelling with the Fates and how they interacted. Like your interactions really shaped it.
Oh yeah.
So it could mean that like the characters are coming back for more Garlean intrigue. Maybe Garlean restoration requires like completion of Boshin's story or something,
I
because
think
certain
so.
characters come
I-
back. It should
I have
be
a very
mandatory,
strong. I have a very strong feeling that we're at least going to see Lion and Hagaga
Yep.
for the Beast
but-
Master.
Yeah,
Oh,
Leon for
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah,
Somewhere. It just does not like because Matsuno purposely forced a new job into the game. That's why you have those paladin builds with axes, because he's like they're
Please.
Beastmasters, and he's like, "What do you
Please
mean we
let
don't
them
have
be
a
wearing the
Beastmaster?"
Let
And
them
you
be
know how
wearing the
much of a
flimsiest
fan-
disguise ever.
you know how much of a fan
No.
Yoshida is of Matsuno. So
Right.
The thing about because I'm reading chat, scrap the continuation because the Empire is no more. Yeah, in our current time, there's no more, and I don't expect it to be different in other time. But
Right.
I don't. I'm not sure if I really should be going into
Do it. Go Mad Hat.
this. Okay, so
boil time.
to wit, I do believe that the next expansion 8.0 will be 8th Umbral era, but
Okay.
but not but in the future of that era.
Right.
So I'm expecting to see the 8th Umbral era like an hyper technological future. Details. I'm not going to go into the details, but it would be something really cool to me if we find ourselves in a hyper technological 8th Umbral era or Astral
Right.
era, whatever. But I'm kind of convinced that it's going to take place in future, an alternate timeline, future Ilsabard,
Nice.
and that would be. It could be a great counter vibe with the hyper technological vibe, and then beneath the ground is the ruins of Evilise. So the thing about Evilise and Boltia and all of that, if it's actually if I'm correct, and next expansion is actually Ilsabard, which would be easier for them to do, because right now, as of current game, the whole uncloud Ilsabard is kind of difficult because a shout out to Synodic. the whole Unclouded Ilsabar could be difficult because there's so many times we've make incursions into Ilsabar without
And
going
haven't
into
done it.
Ilsabar
Yeah.
itself. But so another timeline in which we go into Ilsabar proper, it's like exploring a whole different situation for Ilsabar as well. But there would be still like the ruins of evil is beneath the ground. And yeah, I mean, I have the details about all of this, but it's almost 30 it's almost 300 pages.
That's
So-
amazing.
It's I do want to say I think it's also worth noting that Matsuno later clarified that he said the story is straight up complete, and people were expecting more, and he's like, Bosha is free, the story is done. Was
Yeah.
kind of the implication of
I
his
just wish
comments.
they
So it's-
animated at least. Like the last
Right.
part deserved some sort of like good send off and not a. Because I mean, the problem is not only is it in the field notes, but I think which one is it? Is it the lion one or is it in the? Because there's the
I'm-
Nanoa one you
I
get.
think it's
automatically.
Split up too.
Gabranth.
Yeah.
So
Gabranth
okay,
is
so
the one, yeah.
at least you get it automatically for completion. I thought it was one of the harder ones to grab because then that would have been just even worse. It's like, oh, you have to grind out for the ending, like. But at least the one that's hard to get is, I guess, is an extra entry, not technically. part
The
of the
thing
main
about
story.
the thing about the field notes of Bosnia, I believe it's not so much about the storyline, which I believe it will be. It is complete because also could be kind of like a dick move to force the player to go through the entire
Go through
Bob's
the thing,
storyline. So, but at the same time, I do believe there's so many jewels inside the field notes as of in terms of the whole meta narrative thing that this story is going to tie. This story is going to reference a bigger scale conflict in the minor details of this storyline. Like there's going to be there's like this situation is going to be like a minor metaphor scale for something that's going to come up in a much bigger scale.
Right. And it's the thing of like nothing is really side content, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
it never has been. I will
The-
say one thing I'd love to see out of Bosha is Menenias' gun spear, like a gun blade with a
Nice.
spear. I want that.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah,
be
definitely.
awesome.
Because what was it? Alo Alo Island became MSQ relevant like out of nowhere,
Mhm.
and I got inkling of that because there was that interview. I can't remember which company did the interview, but they got Yoshi P to say, you know, what's the kind of stuff people should look forward to remembering or doing before Dawntrail, and he said Alo Alo Island, but he won't say why. And I thought that was like really particular. I was like, why why Alo Alo, right? Because I thought that was just, you know, origin point for the Lalafell, that kind of stuff. Like I scratched the surface of it, but I didn't really scratch the surface of it. I had some sort of inkling it had maybe something to do with the Forgotten, because that's what they call them, the Forgotten people in the Alo Alo content. And then so I sit there and I did actually clear that dungeon before maintenance kicked me out, right? And then of course we do MSQ, and then the drop happens, and I'm sitting there like, holy crap, I can't believe they did that. That made variant dungeons extremely important. Like, hold up. So it makes me wonder, is that always going to be the case where sure, you don't really have to do stuff, but if you don't do it, oh my gosh, you're going to be so confused later on, or you're going to miss, because there's actually a special additional MSQ text if you beat Alo Alo Island. If you got all the routes and you talk to or you finish the quest line that you get from getting all the routes, Cryle has an additional line for you in MSQ. And I'm like, what?
Yep.
So yeah, the fact that that's even a thing, I don't know if that's going to be something they want to keep doing with ongoing side content. Like the next variant dungeon will then play into 8.0 or something.
I mean, honestly, it's something they've been doing since ARR, and
Right.
this is
Bringing old
Alo
stuff
Alo
into
is the second time I've been burned by this, because I've always said there is no side content in 14. Everything eventually becomes MSQ, and
Right.
in ARR, I think it was the Ixali side quest where I was like, I don't need to do it, and then in Heaven's Word, it was so important.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn it!
That's
and
wild. Yeah.
And now Alo Alo Island, I was like, I don't need to do it. It doesn't tie into anything. It's boring, whatever. And now it's the most important one. I was like,
Yeah, it
damn.
just Asm lore. I'm like, hold up, of all things. Which I mean, now I assume that makes it ties it all back to Emmett's speech. So we're seeing this really interesting like I in the past called it Emmett's shopping list, but now I think it's Emmett's to-do list, things he forgot to do before he died. You know, because it's like,
Right.
hey, I left these bad things that may need your attention since you're technically the only semi-remaining ancient among us. Can you take care of this before it gets worse? Bye.
I like
You know, that's what it feels because it's like oh yeah, hey, go check out the Golden City. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Wait, why is there a key with my symbol on it? You know, like I don't think we would have ever had any reason to figure out what that was if we hadn't gone on the quest to find the Golden City. That was
Right.
It was like that was the point. It wasn't even the Golden City. It was just it was a trap. It was a ruse. We were we were led astray because Emmett had a list he forgot of stuff he forgot to do.
That's
And
hilarious.
so now
I
we have
love
to finish the job. I but yeah, go ahead,
I mean, no, it's just that I don't really want to, but the whole purpose of that bucket list, so to speak, I think it's actually quite different, but
yeah.
it's still amusing. No, it's
think- yeah.
all. It's all.
It's more funny for me.
I mean, it's fun, of course, but I
Yeah.
don't. But there's much there. I mean, so I don't know how. Well, I do know how people are not realizing because it's shouting it at you, but very silently. It's not explicitly stated. The Dawntrail is a fest of Asm and Nemetzelk. It's everywhere you look.
Right.
In themes, in references, in themes. So there's a lot of conspiracy going on here. So there's that, but it's everywhere you look, and it's like the game in Endwalker kind of made you think it was a send off, and I was almost willing to believe it was. At the point, I was kind of thinking like. I mean, we could see him again sometimes. Maybe it's copium, I don't know. Then Dawntrail came as like, this is not send off. What the hell is going on? It's everywhere, and it made me question so many things. But it's just so you know, it's everywhere in the side quest, in the MSQ, in the reference, in the characters. Erenville is basically the role of Hades, and it's not even subtle. It's like, so that's why I'm kind of. It's so yeah. I'm not now. I'm actually. I don't know about I'm not sure about the rest of the crew, but this is not the end of his arc. Definitely.
Oh yeah, no, I can totally understand where you're going with that for sure. Like it just, I had that vibe when I was streaming it too, and I think I mentioned it while I was streaming it. Was like in my impression, my initial impression that Dawntrail was supposed to be like a start over for new players, but as we were progging, it was just like, well, see, I wouldn't have known that information had I not played that expansion. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, this is definitely a continuation. Like there's a lot of stuff moving into the plot that just only makes sense if you remember the stuff from the previous, which I don't hate, but I'm also kind of worried because I'm like, doesn't that kill the whole point of starting over? Right? It's like.
I think that's also like a common misinterpretation. We know this is the start of a new arc. That doesn't mean you can really discount anything that
all
came
the previous
before.
plot
right?
points. Yeah, for sure.
It's like a sequel series, not a brand new one, right? So
yeah, I got in my head it was supposed to be new, and that's why I was surprised when they're mentioning shards and they're mentioning reflections. I was like, oh, I hope everyone remembers that. I had to pull up the little reflection map multiple times just to kind of track where we were at. So that was funny. I was like, wow, Shadowbringers lore is relevant again. Trying to show. I was like, we just need to like secure the Crystal Tower forever. Like just make that our headquarters. I don't know why we keep giving it back to other individuals. I'm like, no, we should just take possession of the Crystal Tower at this point. It's going to be really. I think I think if we want to prevent any other shards from trying to invade us, we're definitely going to want to use the Crystal Tower. I don't know.
Which is hilarious because I think it was like 2 years ago, and our first cast right after Dawntrail, I had to play the clip, but like it was right after Endwalker dropped, and I was like, I really want to see a plot line where a shard gets so advanced that it can invade other shards, and just never went back on it. And I was like, that'll never happen.
The gift of prophecy right there.
Right.
Amazing.
I mean,
That's literally what happened.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
it also sets the stage for interesting conflict of, like, as the source, what would our role in intershardal conflict be?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Like, do we get to determine the role of what, because the thing is, most of these shards, the only reason why they are trying to take over, because again, this isn't the only time we had to deal with this with Golbez. So, these reflections do not have adequate resources to ether like we do, right? The source is supposed to be where it all starts, and so yeah, each of them are trying to grab onto our ether because it's better. You have the Unlost World trying to attach itself because it needs the ether to exist. You have the 13th needing the ether to reset their life cycle. It's just, all these shards are broken in some way, and it's like, technically, like, do we have the means to even observe them, first of all? Because if not, we should definitely look into that.
Yeah.
So they're not constantly blindsiding us with these random portal arrivals and things like that. Like, we could do with less with domes, more with, I don't know, the Oracle. Where's the Oracle at? We need the
Right.
Like, come on.
And we've only ever, like, dealt with shards in conflict because of a rejoining, right? Because the 13th that's what was happened with that. We were literally in the process of stopping a rejoining during Shadowbringers on the first. There are shards that we simply have not touched because maybe the Asians didn't even get to them at that point. They probably have mostly
the balance hasn't.
Yeah, they might actually have a stable civilization too. We haven't seen that yet because we've just always been in conflict, and that's the nature of storytelling, right? But that doesn't mean we can't have a situation where they just show up and they're like, yeah, no, we're legitimately peaceful.
Yeah, right? They're just like, hey, we don't actually need your ether. We were curious and wanted to say hi, hello. And you're like, whoa, hi.
Yeah, they're just
you
like,
don't want to fight us?
Yeah.
You don't want to take our resources? This is interesting. We're having a normal conversation with a different group of people from a different dimension. Amazing. You would hope that's what.
Right.
But so far, it's 2 for 2. But the two nickel concept. They're both trying to take us over. Yeah,
as much as
discrepancies.
Yeah, but as much as people are stoked on shards and stuff, I do believe it's a massive red herring because of things of Dawntrail that actually point towards time rather than shard travel. So the whole shard thing, I do believe I would say actually they are saving the shards for after 9.0, I would say. But
something to show us where they're at,
Yeah, so that's why I'm kind of. I think I shared this with the crew at some point. With the crew certainly, but publicly I'm not sure. But I do believe 8.0 will be 8th Umbral Era, and 9.0 will be Morazidia. And that would be the end of the new arc.
See, here's my thing.
Nice.
We know that Ishikawa and the main quest lead are going to Australia. They're going to be at PAX Australia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're going to be there.
That's right, PAX. Yeah,
they're going to be there for a day, which does not make sense to travel to Australia for a day at a convention. They're doing research. So I think Mirror City is going to be closer than we think. But ever since Endwalker, I've been thinking that there's going to be a time travel expansion because the timeline is kind of screwed.
Final Fantasy 11, right?
Yeah. So
yes, exactly.
we need there's a lot broken in the timeline, and we've caused quite a few paradoxes.
Yep.
going all the way back to Heavensward. So
As one does.
yeah, we
As
kind
one
of
does,
need
trying to
to
save the world, you break it a little bit. I guess.
Right.
Well, yeah, no.
yeah. Yumi's
It's almost as
screaming.
good as when we found it.
Right.
Yumi's screaming right now because
Isn't it
Yeah.
just like
travel.
it's kintsugi, right? We're like rebuilding from broken
Exactly.
pieces.
Yeah,
Like
We'll just use gold to, put it together.
ether gold or something.
Yeah, ether gold. There you go.
Oh man,
I hate time travel so much.
So
It's
do I, dude.
rough. It's such a
You're
rough
not
thing
alone
to write
with that.
about. I think it's just because we can't perceive time, so everything we write about it is made up. It's just
You
you're
fix
never going to
one
be able
thing.
to correspond it. Yeah, you fix one thing, something else is going to spiral out of control. The paradoxes are too many to even keep track of. A lot of people. I mean, look at Kingdom Hearts for sake. Like
Oh,
Hello,
no,
I just-
hello, 13-2, my old
Time.
friend.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Time is just really difficult to work with as a medium, and I just think it would be so much nicer to all fiction writers worldwide if we just decided collectively to leave the fourth dimension alone. I just be like, you know what, we can't even perceive it. Why even write about it? Let's just
Yeah.
leave it. Like,
Well, I mean,
I'd
that's
explain that to the team. Like, why go back when you can just go forwards? Like, going
Exactly.
forwards in time is a lot easier to explain than going backwards because
absolutely.
changing things in the past affect things present, and then you have to start retconning things as to why this works and why that works. Whereas if you go forward in time, all you're doing is just explaining, well, this happened in the meantime while this, went on.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
13-2, my old friend.
yeah.
because 13-2 actually is about going forward in time, not backwards. You have in 13-2 you have this point, which is the ending of 13, the original, in which you can't go backwards from there. You can only go forwards, and still they break up. They break time. So there's
You're
that, but-
reverse explaining things, and it's very hard to do that.
No, but that's one of the reasons I do believe that the Eighth Emerald Era is not going to. So if they're going to do a time travel expansion, it's not going to go backwards because we already did that in Elpis, and it ended
Right.
up in basically the stupid time loop and Rena's
Time
crowning
loop.
moment of derp, which it was so. So there's that. So I do believe that if we go to the Eighth Emerald Era, it would be. So I have this idea in which the eighth Emerald Astral Era, whatever, especially after the whole short story and stuff, they have gone because they do have a method to time travel and rift travel. People often forget that they're basically the only ones who managed to reverse engineer Allegan stuff, Alexander and Omega. It's entirely possible that they have been messing with the timeline, and that preservation actually comes from them. So it's that thing, and that's what I'm expecting for 8.0. Also, there was this, I think it was Media Tour that Yoshipi mentioned about next expansion being something called Wintry, and if you tell me called Wintry,
Okay.
I'm going to think Ilsabart. That's
Yeah.
So there's that, and I think Meracidia works best as it is. So there's something about numbers going on here because 8.0 being eighth whatever era fits, but also if Meracidia were to be the final expansion of this whole the previous arc and the sequel quote unquote arc, it would be the number 9, would be 9.0. 9 in Norse mythology is the number of the end. So it would fit.
That's kind of a misinterpretation.
I mean, yeah, I know, it's not exactly written on stone, but it's the interpretation that at least Fabula Nova Crystallis uses for number 9.
Yeah, that's fair. That's just a misinterpretation of
Yeah, I know.
culture in general, brought to you by that's my heritage.
No, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
I also feel like, am I the only person who doesn't expect a Meracidia expansion? I'm just not expecting it at all. I'm surprised that seems to be such a common sentiment.
I feel like it's just because since they already showed us where it's at, we've already, because we had no visual of Meracidia until
Right.
2023. So
Yeah.
we didn't even know where it was. We all assumed it was down south, but not how far. And I think we only had that like one weird trailer that was going around with the planet. And if you zoom really closely, you can kind of see it. But yeah, that was it. That's all we had. So they showed it. We know Tiamat went down there. We know that she's currently trying to restore order because now she's freed. She's freed from her prison for the first time in 5,000 years, right? So we don't know what the heck's going on down there. My theory has always been that Tiamat's going to do whatever she needs to do, and then at a certain point she would be like, "Hey, I need help," like like something is bad. We found something bad that was left behind, Allegan, whatever, or Void Scent, whatever, because of the war, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We know
Yeah.
we know Maricity is riddled with void portals.
Yeah, there's so much damage that went on during that conflict that she's probably walking a minefield that she has no idea. So she would probably need her help at some point. And even if it doesn't become an expansion, it would be a great variant or something, or another exploratory zone.
That's more what I'm kind of expecting, because I see where the plot hook is. A lot of it is stuff we've already retroactively explored in the case of Allag, and I'm like, I don't need more of this.
Going back into Allag, yeah.
I don't need any more about Allag. I have had enough Allagan bullshit.
I had to check this, but in Emmett Salk's laundry list, he mentions Maricidia. What about Maricidia, the southern continent? Do you know aught of its present state of affairs? That's kind of why I'm thinking that's like we're gonna see it.
Yeah,
for
right.
sure.
Yeah, and like I'm expecting more like not necessarily variant stuff since it was mentioned in MSQ, but maybe having it be relevant to exploratory content, or something along those lines, because the vast majority of Emmett's laundry list, as we're so affectionately calling it at this point, was not an entire expansion, right? A lot of it was just, here is something you spend 2 hours doing in a patch.
It's entirely possible too that Maricidia is not just one Maricidia, not just Maricidia alone, and there's something else besides Maricidia.
Right, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my concern is more I don't want to see another rehash of Allag and Void stuff, because we have seen so much of it at this point.
What I would love to see, actually, because my big expectation getting into Maricidia content and all would be the plant tribe. I want to see the plant people.
Yes.
Just because we haven't actually had aside from the Sylphs, right? Like an actual sentient plant civilization. Like that would be really cool to be introduced to.
That'd be awesome.
The people who summoned and worshipped Sephiroth. We have the centaurs. There's Sophia's perfectly balanced civilization. That was a bunch of mixed cultures that became, it's the first pluralistic culture down there that became a through her power. So there's a bunch of they could do some sort of rebuild story, maybe another restoration sort of content where you're helping the Maricidian, the native Maricidians rebuild or something. Like Tiamat's all right, now I have to take over this place. Here's the old laws. Can you help me reestablish them? Because she, if I recall, they dropped a lot of random Maricidia lore in what was it?
5.4.
5.4. Yeah, the Pagalthan, when they right before when you set her free and she explains to you about the Maricidia story. That was a lot of good stuff. Like Bahamut being king, how he didn't want to be in charge first of all, but they kind of voted him in. That kind of stuff. I feel like that all is going to really play important parts into introducing Maricidia in the future. Is Bahamut's reign and stuff like that.
It's criminal that a lot of that cutscene is not reviewable. You have to do New Game Plus to see it again.
You have to do New Game Plus to get it. Yes.
Yeah.
I go on YouTube for that kind of stuff because I'm just trying to dig through all the cutscenes. I love it, but it's also it's easier to search.
Yeah. I there's a lot of that in Dawntrail too.
That's actually really fascinating, because we were talking about potential other ways that 11 could manifest in 14.
Right.
I'm seeing the potential for it through the Bahamut angle.
That could be.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. And learning of actual Bahamut, his reign as king, his reign as father, not the monster primal that we had to fight, or not. We actually learn about the good things he did as a leader. That would be a really cool story, I think.
I would enjoy that.
yeah, I think there's something that's inevitably going to go in this arc about learning about. I don't know how. I don't know. Quote many quotes unquote. Okay, what's
Yeah.
beneath the monster or the mask? I think that's going to be like, instead of there's going to be a really critical turn in which you will learn about persons instead of roles.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Because they did say something. Didn't they say something about remembering the names of the convocation people?
Mm-hmm.
There's
So, like-
seats. They're numbered seats.
Yeah. So like, I feel like having to remember that is important somehow, but not right now. Just in the future, we're going to have to remember those numbers.
Mm.
Yeah, I think in 7.3 or 7.4, they'll kind of pop up.
I would
Tie that in somehow.
I would say maybe 7, at best 7.4, but I'm kind of betting for 7.5 for the real deal to really hit.
Man, I just
in
really
that.
want.
I could see that. Yeah.
I just really want Halmarot, and I just want Jeff Bridges to play him. and
Hammerot,
just
yes,
be the dude.
plant
Just be the dude.
Plant Asian. Where's the Plant Asian?
I affectionately refer to him as the dude because he likes plants.
Yeah, literally. It just you have to. It is so funny to think they completely. You have all these different roles, like your politics, your war, you have to establish the order of society, and then you make mushrooms. Like that's that's your that's your entire role is to maintain.
You could argue that's a
someone
crucial
has his
part
rug
of
and he wants it
politics,
back.
but
Right. But it's like that's just this very specific role for just plants and all sorts of botany, and it's like you can just imagine each member of the convocation that took the Hamaralt role is like, oh yeah, I invented the mushroom, I invented the rose. It's like that's wild. Like
I invented weed.
yeah, literally. Like they all had to contribute something. Well, that's the thing. They had to contribute something of such attention that got them the role in the first place. So I'm like, they have to
Walk
introduce
down the
some real
halls
cool
of the-
plants.
The Anamnesis Aniter in his bathrobe and slippers.
Yeah, he's like, look what I just made. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's just your opinion, man.
Yeah. Yep.
that is our entire headcanon of Hammer. Just that cast just. I don't know why I came up with it one day, but I just told them and they loved it.
I can see it. I mean, one of the convocation members had to have a really good sense of humor, right? At least,
Right,
I'd
yeah.
imagine. So someone sillier than Azim, you got to have one.
Well, we are
Plant person sounds like it.
we are actually getting close to having to wrap. So
Oh, snap.
yeah. So I know you had an announcement you wanted to tell everybody.
Yes. So, and again, this is a huge apology to the audience and a huge apology to the cast for being an hour late to the show. I definitely did not intend on that. The story behind that, first, of course, is that I had to acquire a contract. I had to sign a contract, but I had to go print it out. And so I was like, oh, let me go to the Walgreens before the show, and I can print it out and then get it done. And then that way it'll be signed out, and then I'll be good to go. Won't have to worry about anything. Walgreens doesn't do printing. What? I didn't know that.
Oh.
Yeah, right? I'm confused. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, but okay. And then she says, oh yeah, but the one up the street does, or like the one up the road does. So I'm like, cool. She said up the road in the sense of driving. I was walking. I didn't really think about that.
Oh
So
no.
me walking up the road ends up, I'm like, oh wow, that's farther than I thought. Took longer than I thought. And then Cobb Heron was messaging me right as I was on the way to the second Walgreens, and I was like, crap, I'm so sorry. Let me hurry up. I'm printing this document, and it'll be there as soon as I can. Go to the second Walgreens. The lady there says that, yeah, no printing. I'm like, then why did someone tell me you printed? Like, why am I here if someone told me you printed? And she's like, well, we can only print 6-4s. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay, thanks. So I'm
Cool.
hightailing it to the nearest printing service that I could think of, which ends up being Office Depot. So that's where I was while everyone was learning about Final Fantasy XI. I was in Office Depot grabbing this contract. But everything has been taken care of. It is now signed. And by the end of today, it should be official. But I was actually approached 3 weeks ago by the associate producer for HeroScape. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that tabletop game.
Yeah.
It is currently coming back. They're working on launching a new wave next week. And actually, no, next week is the new wave. And then they're going to be they're doing like a release every 3 or 4 months. I got approached by the associate producer to be contracted as their lore person.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yep.
So cool.
So I am
Very nice.
Yep, I am the official lore writer for HeroScape.
That is
As
awesome.
of today,
That is so
I just
awesome.
signed the contract. That contract I printed was the HeroScape contract. So
Congrats again, dude. I
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
saying it, but like,
I know. Thank you. I
Congratulations.
appreciate it. So expect some Final Fantasy references in HeroScape. That's probably gonna happen. I'm probably gonna find a way to do it.
Love the
it's-
homages.
Yeah, I have to, right? I have to. It's like, Koji Fox does it,
Yeah.
Why can't you?
So I'm super stoked at it. Yeah, official
I-
lore job,
I have
official
one
game
really-
dev job.
I have one really
That's so
important
cool.
question for you.
Congratulations.
How
Thank
do you
you.
feel about puns?
Oh, I love puns. I know. I already got.
Oh
told I have
yeah.
to start
Oh
doing
yes.
puns.
Yes.
oh god.
I just
oh
gotta figure
no.
out-
Excellent.
I gotta figure out where to put it. That's the thing. Obviously delivery is the most important part, and they're gonna be having me do the character bios. They're gonna be having me do the writing for the back of the boxes, things like that. I feel like I may be able to pull it off on the packaging, maybe, but I don't know yet. I need to ease myself in, get to know people,
Exactly.
like rapport and all that, and then I'll start dropping the puns. We'll see how much I get away with before I get in trouble.
Exactly.
But because Koji even confessed, he's legal team's worst nightmare, right? That's like he admittedly confessed to causing multiple issues for the devs. I don't want to be that person, but for the sake of the joke,
It always 100%.
right? Commit to the bit, absolutely.
I know some
Yes,
of you
thank you
will
so
die, but I'm willing to make that.
I'm gonna make that sacrifice. That's amazing. But yeah, I'm super stoked to get started. As of today, since I signed the contract, I'm assuming by the end of today I will get my first assignments, and then I'm assuming by next year you will start seeing my writing on the back of those boxes and
Oh, that's
all that
sick.
That's
stuff.
wait.
So
fantastic.
yeah, absolutely. If you have any questions about the game, feel free to ask. Anybody in chat is also invited to learn how to play. HeroScape is awesome, and it's multi-platform. They are trying to push it not just for the game itself, but using the tiles for things like Dungeons and Dragons or the up-and-coming tabletop RPG from Final Fantasy XIV. So
Nice. I
options,
Like it.
options are there. You should check it out.
Will you sign a box at FanFest whenever that inevitably
If,
happens?
if you bring a box to me at FanFest, I will absolutely sign it for you.
I
yes.
will do
Like-
that. Thank you.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I'm laughing because this contract that I signed even says it I will be credited by name. So that's the part that's gonna mess me up the most. I think is gonna be opening up one of those books and seeing my name in it and being like, hey, that's mine.
It's gonna be surreal, isn't it?
I'm in
That's so
TV.
cool.
Literally that's the experience. I'm so stoked though.
That
'Cause
is so cool.
I've been working on this franchise for years, so it's finally being able to contribute to it in a canonical way is insane to me. So, and they're fully expecting me to just completely, lore dump. So it's gonna be I'm being
Oh,
man.
paid lore dump now. Whoa,
Have
The
fun
big
building that
luxury.
world out.
absolutely. There's 12 planets already.
God.
I have to work with. So I'm yeah, world building. But
Oh, that's
thank you
amazing.
for letting me share it with you and your audience. And yeah, again, just if anyone has any questions, always open to talk about it. So
Yeah, absolutely. Where can people go to learn more about HeroScape?
definitely the website. They reacquired they bought the web address, which was really funny. So heroscape.com, or you can check out Renegade Game Studios is the company I'm working with. They are the ones that bought the license, and so they're the ones that are giving me the contract. I'm working with them to get the lore all written up and documented. Because we have everything in Wikipedia, but it's not great. Wikipedia is old. It's been messed with for a little bit, but I have intentions. I can't say obviously this hasn't been brought forward in a way that's this will happen. But I have intentions to ask if there's a possibility to start doing lore books for
I
the
love a
game.
good lore book.
Oh,
So
yes.
at some point, I do hope to be able to get published content out there, so that way it's easier to find. But you can find most of the stuff on HeroScape.com. So
Awesome.
and then
Awesome.
more stuff will be on. I'll be posting it everywhere, of course, because gotta add to that. So if you do ever any questions, look up SLM Collate. Should be able to find the updated information to the game and anything I'm working on there.
Fantastic. And
yeah.
where can people go to see more of you?
Yeah, of course, the SLM, ESSALIM, that is the same on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all around, mostly for social media purposes. And again, if you have any questions about lore, this isn't just HeroScape stuff. Absolutely, if you have any questions about Final Fantasy XIV, about Dawntrail, if you want to hablar español también, like literally, I'm down for anything. Just feel free to message me at any of those platforms. I'm available. And I'll let you know if I'm busy. But
so you, me, and Meowth need to do an episode in Spanish as well.
Yeah, we can absolutely can.
Oye.
No hay, no hay ningún problema.
I would say
Awesome.
you used to play HeroScape and your brother named his dog after one of the characters. Yo, that's so cool. I'm gonna have to pass that on to my employers. That's awesome. I love that. I love hearing HeroScape stories like that. That's so cool.
That's awesome.
What? I would have never known. That's so cool. Well, thanks for the invite. I would have never met someone that named their dog after one of the HeroScape characters. That's cool.
All right. Well,
Love it.
Crow, thank you again for joining us. Thank you again to the
Yeah,
cast.
absolutely.
Appreciate
Thanks for the
you all.
invite.
Yeah. So next
And deep
week,
apologies for the lateness. I promise I don't make that a habit.
it's all good. We'll just have to have you back.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, next week we'll be having our regular episode. We will be having Synodic on, so that's going to be exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yay!
So
So-
please look forward to that. It'll be at our same time, and I hope everybody has a fantastic week.
Thank you so much.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
See
See
ya.
ya.